About Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers is probably something only Latina history we learned U.S. public school system. And what I learned most recently really shocked me. In 2025, I don't think it's a surprise to know that Cesar Chavez was actually very anti-immigrant. But what shocked me to learn was about wet lines. When Cesar Chavez was touring Europe, he left his cousin Manuel Chavez in charge of some things back home. Both Cesar Chavez and Manuel Chavez shared the same anti-immigrant sentiment. They thought that the lettuce strike was not going well because of undocumented workers, but there was a lot of reasons the strike wasn't going well. And let's not forget that it's the farm owners that were exploiting the undocumented farm workers. But that didn't matter. Cesar Chavez was on the record saying things like, if we can get the illegals out of California, we will win the strike overnight. So with Cesar Chavez's approval and with United Farm Worker Union money, Manuel Chavez set up what was called the wet line. And these were patrols set around the Arizona border. These patrols were done by United Farm Worker members. And their job was to stop people who they thought were crossing to work in the lettuce farms, to stop them from crossing into the U.S. Of course, there's no way of knowing that's the reason these people were crossing, but they did whatever they needed to stop these people from crossing from Mexico into the United States, which often included very violent things. Reports by Mexican newspapers stated that by the end of the wet line, at least 37 people were attacked violently by UFW members in order to stop them from crossing into the U.S. It got so bad that Bert Corona, a Chicano activist, staged a protest against the United Farm Workers at the Arizona border. And there is a recorded conversation between Cesar Chavez and his cousin Manuel, where Cesar Chavez told Manuel that they could bribe the Mexican police to cut the cost of the United Farm Workers wet line and bring down the number of UFW members that were patrolling the border. And they were also doing things like setting cars and houses on fire to scare people into crossing. And it was so bad that the Mexican government issued a warrant for Manuel Chavez for these activities. At one point, these wetline operations cost the union $80,000 a week. No one stopped Cesar Chavez from doing this, not a single board member. Then he started what he called an illegals campaign because he felt like Nixon and Border Patrol weren't doing enough to keep illegals out. And he wanted to use the UFW to identify illegal undocumented workers at these farms to help Border Patrol deport them. And these are just a few of the shocking things I learned about Cesar Chavez. Later, I also learned about his involvement with a cult, Synanon, and a cult leader, Charles Dietrich, who he really admired. I actually have a 5-part series on my podcast, Historias Unknown, where I tell my twin all these shocking things I didn't know about Cesar Chavez, which I got from a book. The picture is here. Highly recommend the book.